A couple of tips about creating instances of items in the Mesh Ops tab. First, I'm going to create a procedural sphere. So sphere, now I have a procedural sphere. If I go to my Mesh Operations list, and with that item selected, I can hold the Control key and the Shift key and then click and drag, and now I have created an instance. So sphere 2 is an instance of sphere. I'm going to rename this. So for sphere, I'm going to say this is my original, and for that one, I'm going to rename that as inst to know that I am dealing with an instance. Now, if I select my sphere original, you see that my widgets disappear, and I can get them back by unhiding the sphere instance, which is lower in the stack. Or if I do not want to unhide, I can also drag my original one last of the stack, and now I get my widgets back. At this point, I haven't edited the original one. So if I go to my list and select the sphere inst and then go to its properties, then for position X, Y, and Z and radius X, Y, and Z, you see that the circles behind them, they are not purple yet. When I actually edit the original one, if I for instance say, well, radius Y, I'm going to put that 300 millimeters. If I now select my instance, you see that for radius Y, it's now become purple. So when you hover over that circle and you go to the color, purple color, it says the channel value is inherited from its instance source item. You see, for the other channels, they are not yet inherited because I haven't changed the original channels yet. So if I select my original again, and if I, for instance, edit everything like that, and then select my instance again, now if I go to its properties of the instance, you see they all are purple, meaning all values are derived from the source item. Now, as long as I do not change the position and radius of the sphere instance, then those channels will be inherited from the original sphere. But if I do change one of these channels, then those values will not be inherited anymore. So let's say for the instance, I'm going to set the radius Y to 1 meter. Press the A key to fit. You see now this Y radius channel is not purple anymore. And if I, for instance, select my original one and set my Y to, for instance, 2 meters and go back to my instance, you see that that is still 1 meter. The other channels still inherit the values. So again, if I choose my original, set that to 1, and go back to my instance, you see that is also been set to 1. But if I change my Y radius and go back to my sphere instance, it remains at 1 because I edited it separately. So that is a thing to note, that if you change individual values of the instance, then those channels will not be inherited anymore. So if I hide this to get my widgets of my sphere instance, if I edit it completely, let's move it around a bit and scale it just like that, you see that now all values are not purple anymore. And if I change my original, nothing will be updated for the instance anymore. So for a more practical example, I'm going to select my sphere instance, and I've started over, so I have not derived channels yet. And for my position X, I'm going to set my instance to, for instance, 3. So now there is my instance, that is my original. And if I edit the original, so select it, you will see that the instance updates. And when I select the instance, you see that all channels are being derived except for position X. Again, if I want to change each position Y, right now if I select my original one and move it, the instance updates. If I change the position Y of the instance individually, set that to 1 meter. Now when I select the original, now when I click up and down, the instance will not follow along. And apparently when I go to my instance, the Z, oh yeah, in the Z, so I was dragging in X, so the Z should still update. Yep, just like that. But not X and Y. And the scale does still update. Hope you found it useful.